What's going on, YouTube? Thanks for tuning into the channel. Welcome to So Simplified, coming to you with the video here about you need to have a plan for your money before you have it. This video is coming from an experience I had as I started making more money when I was, in my mid-20s to now, and some things I could have done that could have made things better. So the idea here is that no matter how much money you have, you should have a plan for it so that when you start making more money, that you can actually allocate it in the proper way. Because what's gonna happen is, let's say you're making just enough to, make ends meet. And that was a position I was at, probably 23, 24, and then 25 was when I started to have a shift, was that I was always breaking even. Or even less than breaking even. You talk about the timing game, you pay your rent check because, they can't cut off the PSE&G. You throw certain things on your credit card and then you max out your credit card and then you pay down your credit card so you could pay things on your credit card. I had that all down pat, which is not a great way to live. But when you come from that and then you actually do have a cushion, if you don't have a plan, it's going to lead you to just losing a lot of money. So I have a very simple formula. It's really just a go broke formula. It's something I learned from Grant Cardone about, just go broke with your money. Take your money and throw it somewhere. But not go broke buying fucking Jordans and fucking rims and just dumb shit, buying new cars, etc., etc. You want to go broke with an actual investment and an actual plan. And the reason why you want to have that prior is because most likely, if you didn't have money before, you don't have great spending habits. You don't really have great impulse control, because I know how I was. My checking account was basically a launching pad. Money never sat in there when I was making just literally paycheck to paycheck. Money went in there and there was already bills it had to go to, and then the rest I was living on was just kind of the day-to-day. And then what happened when I kind of made a jump and my income started to double, basically I noticed that I really wasn't saving that much. The one benefit I had was I had a car note, so I knew I wanted to put a lot of money towards that. But all in all, when I think about how much money I've made over the last few years, the amount of money I have to show for it is kind of not the greatest. It could be so much bigger. And I remember actually having a conversation with somebody a couple years ago, and they were telling me how much they had saved, and I knew we were making close to the same amount of money, that I was like, damn, how is that even possible? Now, they were living at home and stuff, so that was part of the reason why they could save so much, but it doesn't really make a big difference. That's what, $1,500 times 12 is what? Is $15,000, $18,000. I guess that's a decent amount of money, but I digress on that point. You need to have a plan for your money. And what this plan should be are big plays. You should have, prior to having the money, you should know, this is the next investment I want to make. This is the next, thing I want to purchase for, whatever the reason is. Generally, you want these to be productive reasons, not reasons like I just want new clothes, which that can also be something you're budgeting in. But whenever you make that money, you should, one, have an idea of what your average expenses are. So generally mine right now, it's around 2,000, a little bit under, just for the living situation with COVID and everything. I don't really have to travel as much. I'm not really paying for as many, my MMA gym, there's not as many tournaments, etc., etc. But basically, I just only keep that amount in my checking account. No matter how much money I get on a paycheck, all of the other money is gonna go to the investment plays. So my big investment play is that I'm looking to buy a multi-unit house and house hack. I've explained this many times before, that is my ultimate, first real investment strategy, my kind of grown-up move that I really want to make. And basically, I just take large amounts of all that cash until I back down to 2,000 and just send it all the way over there. And then I have an emergency fund that's basically connected. I just use TD, so I have their checking, and then I have my just regular savings account that's connected, and I try to keep that around $5 grand. So if anything happens, I can always move the money over. But then specifically for this investment account, this what Grant Cardone calls it, a sacred account, I call it my sacred account as well. don't have this at the same institution. You want to have this at a different institution because you don't want that money to be super accessible. So I did all of it online. I created the account online. It's a money market account with a Capital One. So I put all of that money in the Capital One account, and as that grows, that is like my my splurging, my feeling of buying something that I want, this new thing that I want. But what it keeps me from is spending that money and having nothing to show for it. Because what you're going to realize as you make more and more money, especially if you're watching this, you're a young person, you are definitely going to be making more and more, is that weird things start to come up to spend money on. Like even just thinking about something as simple as Uber Eats. I can't tell you how many times I just have like a simple craving, and then somehow that shit came out to $35, $40. And depending on what you make, that could be a decent sum. But imagine you do that 2 or 3 times a week. So 3 times, let's just use 40 as an easy example. So $120 times 4 weeks, that's 400 times and 480. That's almost 500 bucks. That's almost 500 bucks a month on just eating out, just ordering off Uber Eats. Now we can talk about if you are actually going out. We could talk about if you're making stupid Amazon purchases when you see stuff coming in, that kind of stuff is going to take away from what you're ultimately trying to do. And you got to kind of have a plan, because if you don't have a plan, the money is just out the door. That's why most of the people that got stimulus checks, they just spent it on bullshit. I know plenty of people buying new shoes, doing all this new, like buying new clothes, buying stuff that they don't really need with the stimulus check, because they don't have a fucking plan for their money. And the average person doesn't have a plan for their money, because they just look at things as, you know, if I could survive today, I'm good. If I just have like $1,000, you know, cushion, which is a lot for a lot of people, it's like I'm good, which that's really not good. You're really not in a position, one, if anything bad happens, but you're definitely not in a position to, you know, grow or have an exponential growth. And that's kind of where my mind's at, is that like I'm not happy just being in the middle class. Like that's not one, I think it's a myth, which is a whole different discussion. But everything that I'm planning for is to be at, you know, the people that everybody's complaining about. To be honest, I'm trying to be in the top 10%. I'm trying to be in the upper class. I want people complaining that I got too much money and I got to share it. Like, I don't know. If I would had to choose, I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. I'd rather be in the class that has and not the class that doesn't have. And I'm coming from a class growing up that didn't really have. So I know that side, and I want to see what the other side's like. So if that's kind of your mindset, that would be the #1 thing that I would say is the best budgeting advice. Is just to have a plan for your money before you get the money. And it doesn't even need to be that you're getting a promotion. It could be simply just this current paycheck that you get now. How much is your real expenses that you need? Now only leave that amount in your account, so you don't really have the other fucking option of doing something else. And then move all that other money to an account that is kind of hard to access. You're gonna have to wait 5 to 10 days to get that money. So if you just had that little bit of delayed access, it's going to make it easier and easier for you to save. Because a lot of times if you just wait a day, wait 2 days on a purchase, like even looking at this snowboard, for example, this is an example of just buying something I didn't need. I didn't go snowboarding once this year, and we had good snowstorms. I mean, I will use that eventually, but it was one of those things where I was just sitting there, I was seeing snowboarding videos, and I was like, fuck it, you know, I want to buy a snowboard, and then I just bought it. So that's the perfect example of why you just need to take the money and throw it somewhere else, because then you start doing dumb stuff, and you don't want to do dumb stuff. So that's it for this one. If you like the content, like, comment, subscribe. You fuck with the vibe, welcome to the tribe. Until next time, you know what it is. Peace out.